Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Real Cooking with Rapid Rod. Today's meal is going to be fish again, but we're going to do I guess a relatively new classic, if that's not an oxymoron, a new classic, mustard fried tilapia fish with hand-cut chips. Today's recipe is going to call for some very, very basic elementary seasonings, of which we're going to have Lowry seasoning salt. And by the way, we're only going to use about a teaspoon or less of these ingredients because the mustard is going to really make up for most of the flavor. But we're going to do Lowry seasoning salt, some fine black pepper, some cornmeal, French's yellow mustard. Those of you who watched my videos before know that I'm into golden mustard, the brown mustard, but this recipe calls for yellow mustard, and of course, Old Bay. I wouldn't be caught without it. Old Reliable. So I just want you guys to kind of sit back, pay attention, and we will get cooking and mixing and frying in short order. Stay with us. All right, so we've got everything laid out and measured out, all of our very simple ingredients. And so what we're going to basically do now is season our cornmeal. And we're going to take a full cup of cornmeal, put it in the mixing bowl, and to that we're going to add about half a teaspoon of black pepper, about 3/4 of a teaspoon of Lowry seasoning salt, and a full teaspoon of Old Bay, my favorite. Now, we only went with less than a teaspoon of Lowry seasoning salt because basically the Old Bay has salt in it as well. And as a result, we don't want to have the two salts conflict with each other or conflate with each other and make the fish too salty. And for those of you who have diets that are low in sodium, you can probably substitute or not do salt at all. So with that, we take a whisk and we just mix everything into our cornmeal breading, which we're going to use to bread the fish with. We mix it real nice. We use a whisk because the spaces between the wires in the whisk allow to really mill the cornmeal and the powdered seasoning much better than a fork or a spatula per se. So you really want to kind of blend that in good because you want this to coat the fish completely and as evenly as possible because we want these beautiful flavors all over our fish once we fry it up. Okay, and so we're just mixing this down, another couple of stirs, okay, and that's basically done. So we'll put this over on the side for now, and we're going to bring out our fish. Now this is tilapia, and you can use this recipe with basically any fish you like. Codfish, catfish, porgy, whatever you like. I'm just doing the tilapia, not even a fish that I'm crazy about, but it's what they had, and I decided to go with it. It is a very good tasting fish. Some people say that it's very, very depleted in terms of vitamin and nutrients. I checked on the internet, and this thing does have about 22% protein, so if nothing else, you're getting a protein value in a serving. Anyway, these have been washed thoroughly in cold water and lime, fresh lime, squeezed all over them, rubbed on them, and then rinsed again, rinsed 2 or 3 times, and then dried. Because the key is you want to make sure these fish fillets are very, very dry because it'll help the mustard to stick to it and thereby the cornmeal on the mustard when we fry. But these are pretty long, and I don't necessarily want them to be this long. I want them in manageable pieces that I can get them into the fryer comfortably. So I'm going to basically half these, about so, and cut these fillets pretty much in half. And these are thick fillets too. So normally they'd be thinner than this and they would fry up very quickly. These are going to be frying a little bit longer than normal. And basically what I'm doing is just cutting these down a little bit to make them more manageable as I season and fry them. Okay, so again, with the well-dried, washed and dried fish, now what we're basically going to do is put this mustard, well, before we do that, we're going to take the fish and put it, a well-dried fish, put them in the bowl. Because what we're going to do now is cover these fish portions that we cut up really well. We're going to season these with the mustard. Now what we don't want is to be stingy with the mustard. I don't know how much I got here. I'm kind of working with 2 tail-end bottles. I had them upside down to try to get everything I can get out of them. And let's hope I can get what I need. We'll see where this goes. This might be an adventure, ladies and gentlemen. Because again, we want to be generous. We want to make sure all of these fish pieces are covered quite well in mustard. So we've got a good amount going there. You can be generous. Mustard's not the most expensive condiment out there. Keeping it upside down so that it can continue, gravity can continue doing its job. And we're going to cover these fish pieces as best we can. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be in good shape. We want to make sure we slather them in the mustard. Like so. Coating and covering all sides of the pieces. Making sure that there's a liberal amount to go around for all of the pieces. Because again, this is going to be a big part of the flavor in the fish. Again, we use very light seasoning. We didn't really go over the top. We could have used fish seasoning and accent and garlic powder and all the typical stuff that we normally go with. But we're going with extra light seasoning because this mustard should basically account for a good amount of the flavoring. Okay, and then once we do that, rinse off my hand. We're going to basically at that point now just dredge. We're going to dredge the very well covered tilapia slices in our cornmeal. And then we're going to put them on that plate. So then we just put it right in here real nice, flip them around, cover them up. Another piece in, flip it around, let it get nice and covered with the cornmeal. And as they get good and covered, just take them out and put them on the plate and let them rest a minute. And shake off the extra cornmeal. The next piece, batter this down real nicely. Shake off the extra cornmeal, lay that down. The next piece. Okay, basically what we're doing now, we're at the oil. We got the oil in the pan, and we're going to heat that. Generally when you're frying chicken or shrimp or fish, you want to have that oil at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have a little cooking thermometer that I use from time to time. And if you don't have one, as I said, you can use the old style technique of taking a pinch of flour or cornmeal in this instance. And when you begin to see ripples into the oil, you can just toss a pinch into the oil, and if it sizzles and fries up to the top, you know your oil is pretty much just about ready. So while we're waiting for the oil to get to its proper temperature, I just want to share that I'm doing this recipe because my sister Jackie, who lives in California, had requested that perhaps I should try a mustard fried chicken dish. And I was thinking about doing mustard fried chicken, some home style collard greens, some black eyed peas and rice as an authentic soul food meal. But I wanted to do some fish today because I've been eating a lot of chicken and a lot of beef, so I wanted to go with the fish. And I realized, well, what the hell, let me do some mustard fried fish. And here we are. So now we're going to continue waiting for this oil to get hot, and once we're at the proper temperature, we'll get right back to you. And so we've got our oil right at 350 where we want it, and we're going to now put our lovely sections of tilapia fish in. And let these fry up. You want to lay them down very gently because you don't want it to splatter. That grease will burn you pretty good. We're going to try to get all these pieces in if we can. And the thing about overstuffing your pan is that oftentimes the more stuff you put in, that'll lower the temperature of your grease, and that'll make for uneven cooking, and you really don't want that. So you want to try not to overstuff your frying pan with too many pieces of meat, and in this case, obviously fish. And so we will cook this up for a while. We'll get back to you midway through and show you how it's browning up nicely. We've been frying these bad boys up for a pretty good minute, and they're beginning to float to the top, and they're getting a nice golden brown look to them. So we're going to do a gentle flip, because we don't want to overcook these boys. And what we want to do is keep the heat at about medium high. You don't really want to fry any higher than that, because any higher than medium, basically whatever you're frying, is going to put you in a place where you're going to probably burn your meat. So you always want to keep your fire at medium or slightly below. And that should keep the temperature up to, like I said, 350, and you should be good to go from there. We'll get back when this cooks a little bit more, and we should be very, very close to finish. And those of you who are astute will recognize that I have my trusty screen anti-splatterer, which I love to cook with because it does tend to keep down the splattering, and boy, this fish is doing some splattering. But we'll just peel that back, and we'll take a look at where we're at. We're probably 3/4 of the way done, if not a little bit more. And let's get a little close-up on where the fish is at. And this is really nicely golden brown and textured nicely. Our oil is still nice and hot, and this fish is going to be ready in very short order. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and there you have it. You have Rapid Rod's mustard fried tilapia with the cornmeal coating and the nice sliced lemon wedges and some tartar sauce, and we're going to go in closely so that you can really see the texture of that fish. You can see how well it's done. Really get a good look at that. It's nice, crisp, hard, and we will start the French fries now and complete our meal. So we'll be back. Okay, y'all, I'm about to get straight up old school with you now. And I hope that I don't, step on anybody's toes, but I am about to fry these hand-cut French fries in the same grease that I fried the fish in. Now, a lot of classic cooks would, pull their hair out and light their socks on fire if they knew that that was the case. But I'm going old school, way back down South Carolina, and I was told a long time ago that basically when you fry the French fries in fish oil or chicken oil, that those fries not only absorb the flavor, better flavor than they would have in clean oil, but it also tends to purify the oil to the extent that for those of us who like to save the oil and use it again to cook another fried meal, we can, after we fry the French fries and they blot up all of the flavor of the fish, you can kind of strain that grease back into the bottle and use it again later, because the French fries will actually act as a filter to clean this fish fried oil. And now we're putting these slivered French fries right into this grease that we fried the fish in. And irrespective of what my viewers may think, these are going to be good. We're going to fry them up real good. Get them nice and crispy on the outside and tender and flaky on the inside. Finish off our meal. And then we will get back. Stay with us. All right, voila. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is Rapid Rod's cornmeal mustard fried tilapia fish with hand-cut French fries. I guess you would call these steak fries. And I cut them at the large variety so we can get a nice bite out of each mouthful that we take. And we've got our tartar sauce, our lemons, and our ketchup for the fries. I'm gonna season the French fries with some Lowry seasoning salt. Normally I would go with typically regular salt, but because this is my meal tonight, I'm going with the Lowry's. And so right about now, this is the part where I say, I'm gonna grit, and grease. And I say that because I am going to grit, and grease. But before I do, I'm gonna break off a piece of this fish just to see where we are at. So you guys can get a feel for what we've done here. So I'll break this nicely up and look at that. Look how nicely it breaks. Can you see that? It's well cooked on the inside, nice and fluffy. The batter is nice and crunchy. We're going to take a piece of this. I'm going to dip it in my tartar sauce here. Take a piece of it, and I'm going to see where I'm at. Wow. I mean, it's like every time I take a bite of my food, I know I always do the wow thing, but it's just really like a festive, flavorful explosion going off in my mouth, despite the fact I didn't use a lot of seasoning. This is very, very elementary seasoning, perfectly salted. You don't need any more salt. It's just where it needs to be. And I want to say one other thing about the tilapia fish. At the end of the day, as I said, a lot of people don't like tilapia because they argue that it's not a nutritional fish, that it is devoid of nutritional value. But as I said earlier, I did my homework, and it may not have as much value nutritionally as other fish, but it damn sure tastes good. It damn sure tastes good. And I'm going to sit down and enjoy this. Got my little, look at that. On the inside, nice and crusty on the outside. Oh man, this is, listen, I'm going to get off this camera and get down on this meal. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Tune in soon. We'll have another video real quick, fast, in a hurry. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And on that note, bon appetit.